Hi everyone. Today we are going to see about the frequency of sampling in concreting. So we can refer IS 456-2000 reaffirmed 2021. Frequency of sampling is mentioned here. So sampling procedure is a random sampling. A random sampling procedure shall be adopted to ensure that each concrete batch shall have a reasonable chance of being tested. That is, the sampling should be spread over the entire period of concreting and cover all mixing needs. So, if you are procuring the concreting from the two different type of batching plants, we need to check the two different mixing durability of the concrete. We need to cast the each batching plant cubes separately for a same grade. The frequency is given in table below. The minimum frequency. So number one column is concrete in terms of m cube. Number two column is number of samples. So if the quantity of concreting 1 m cube to 5 m cube, one number of samples need to be casted. If the concrete volume is 6 to 15 m cube, we need to cast two number of samples. If the concrete volume is 16 to 30 m cube, we need to cast 3. If the concrete volume 31 to 50 m cube, we need to cast 4. If the concrete volume exceeding 50 and 51 and above, 4 plus 1 additional sample for each additional 50 m cube are part thereof. So we need to cast each sample for each additional of 50 m cube of volume of concrete. So note is there. In note, at least one sample shall be taken from each shift. Where concrete is produced at continuous production unit, such as ready-mix concrete plant, frequency of sampling may be agreed upon mutually by supplier and purchaser. These are all the things need to be concluded before the concrete work itself. So during the concreting, we made a clarity to cast the cubes for the appropriate sampling methods. The number of samples shown here is only for a age of 28 days testing. Mention that number of samples. Sample means the 3 test specimens shall be made for each sample. 3 test specimens shall be made for each sample for testing at 28 days result. For specimen, we can call it upon cubes. So 3 test cubes shall be made for each sample for 28 days. Additional samples may be required for various purposes such as determining the strength of concrete at 7 days, or time of striking the formwork, or to determine the duration of curing, or to check the testing error. Additional sample may also be required for testing samples cured by accelerated method. So these are all the additional samples for checking of 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, in even striking time period. If the striking time period is 10 days, we need to check the 10 days cube results too. So these are all the extra cubes need to be confirmed by the customer or a contractor before the concreting works. Quickly we move on to the two examples. For the 32 m cube concreting volume, how much number of samples need to be taken for the given volume? So for 7 days, in that I have taken the 7 days. So in that 7 days, I have taken one number of sample. In 28 days, it mentioned here 4. So we need to check with our code book. 32 cube lies in the 31 to 50 here. So 4 number of samples need to be casted. So only I have noted that 4. So totally 5 number of samples need to be casted for 32 cube cubic meter concreting works. In other words, in terms of cubes or specimens, we can say 3 number of cubes need to be casted for 7 days and 12 number of cubes need to be casted for 28 days. So overall 15 number of cubes need to be casted for 32 m cube concreting works. In another example, I have written more than the 50 m cube. So the concrete quantity is 254 m cube. I have splitted the concrete quantity by 50. So 50, 50, 50. 5 into 50 plus the balance 4 m cube. 50 and above, 4 plus 1 additional sample for each additional 50 m cube. As per IS, for first 50 m cube of concrete, I have written 4 number of sample plus each one additional sample are added because of each additional 50 m cubes are add on in the concrete cube. So 50, 50, 50, 50, 4 50s are there. So 4 numbers, 4 1 to be added, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 ones plus 1. So for excess of 4 m cube, we need to cast additional one set. So totally 9 number of samples need to be casted for 28 days. Already I have taken 7 days. So one sample need to be casted for 7 days. Totally 10 number of samples need to be casted for 254 m cube of concrete works. In other words, number of cubes. 3 number of cubes need to be casted for 7 days. 27 cubes need to be casted for 28 days. So totally 30 numbers of cubes need to be casted for 250 m cube concrete works. I think the detail will helpful for your learnings. Thank you.